What is going on, peasants? Welcome back to another episode of I Came with Fire podcast. This one, as you can see, is a special edition. We have a fop here, apparently, in the middle.
a dandy, if you will.
A dandy, that's
Zach
right.
dressed up as a dandy.
Literally Yankee Doodle dandy. Then we've got Aaron Love. You guys know who that is, looking like a Minuteman. And if you're not surprised by the way we look right now, just wait till the 4th of July episode when we all have gingivitis and an abscess somewhere you can't see, just like everybody else in the 18th century. So
we put a lot of time and effort into this. So
I'm ready to do this. Let's see how long.
Gingivitis.
It's true. Zach went all out with his costume. I like it.
I would like to say, though, we really committed to this bit. This was a thing that we kind of joked about, recording in tricorn hats after the first of the year. And then it just became one of those games of chicken where, everybody refused to blink. We're like, yeah, did you get your hat? Yeah, bro, I totally got my hat.
Of course.
Did you get your hat? Yeah, bro, I totally got my hat. I got a wig, too. Like, and it became this competition where we're like, oh, no, we're totally doing it. And now here we are just committed to the bit with these dumb hats on.
Exactly. What Zach wasn't telling everybody is that he actually has had this wig for a long time.
Oh, no.
Right?
Mm-hmm. It's because
I don't even want to know what you do with the wig on, Zach.
I wear it to feel like I have hair and connected to the founding fathers.
I'm honestly sad you're not a recruiter anymore because I would love to just see a bit of you interviewing somebody looking to join the Air Force dressed up that way.
Oh, absolutely.
I think if I walked into your office, I probably would just tell you to sign me up for whatever the fuck come first. You know what I mean?
I hand you
Open
your
general.
musket.
Let's just do it. Open general.
Give me your
Everybody in that room, I'd be like, hey, shut up. What's this guy doing? I want to do whatever this guy's doing. This guy over here dressed like a Civil War reenactor. This guy, I want to go like the dandy. Get me FOP number 2. I don't care. What do I got to be? A FOP's apprentice? Is that what they call it? Give it to me. I want to go now.
That's right.
This guy's partying and I've been missing out this whole time. Chop, chop. Write the papers up.
The mismatched color from your mustache and your wig really, really sells the outfit.
It's really throwing me off. Yeah, that thing is just disgusting. Are you within 500 feet of a school? I am contractually obligated to ask you.
I don't think I am.
I don't know.
I haven't measured it recently. So I'm not quite sure.
Are you safe?
I am safe.
Safe?
Right, yeah.
They're not safe.
That's the important question.
At home?
Does your wife feel okay at home?
Yeah.
Natsumi, blink if you feel safe. Let's do it. All right. Aaron, what have you been up to lately, man?
Nothing, man. Got a really chill holiday season done, so that was good. As always, One's Ready is just chugging right along. So if you have anything and you're ramping up to start something new in the new year, whether it's a workout plan or to maybe talk to somebody about a life change, hit us up. So that's always out there. So go check out One's Ready, as always. But really just a chill kind of holiday season where focused on family and chilled out and took some breaks away from social media and the news and focused on real things that are important like tribe and family and some of those traditions that we do during this part of the year. So it was awesome. Saw a bunch of loved ones and I'm kind of in like that lawless wasteland right now because I have like some days off and it bled into a weekend and pretty soon you're eating like, it's like living in an airport 24/7. You're eating full meals at 8:00 in the morning and having a drink with liquor in it. And it's 9:30. You're like, what's happening?
I think that's the best part about the airport, though.
It might be that there's just no rules at all.
No, time doesn't apply. That's how I treat it, man. If I've got a flight somewhere at 6 a.m., if it's open, why not? Full send.
Here's a little bugaboo, a little picadillo that I have. It annoys me to no end that I'll have a very early flight. Let's say the flight's, 5:45 taken out of Seattle. That one happens all the time. I'm on that bad boy all the time, right? The lounge isn't open until like 5:15 or whatever. You have to get to the airport. Listen, if the airport's open, if you can fly out of there, I should be able to do it from a lounge. That's what I'm paying extra for. Just line the schedules up. Like I want to be able to go sit in that Amex lounge, the Centurion Lounge. I want to go just chill out, have a quiet breakfast to myself, have a coffee, have a drink, whatever. It should be open and it should be serving alcohol. And if I get elected president nationwide, I will make that a federal law that all lounges are open if planes are flying out.
Is this your official announcement?
Listen, I got a platform that I think people will like. I don't know if I have the policy to back it up, but I'll tell you this much. Airport bars open immediately. Idea number 2. Yeah, how else I'm going to improve airports? you know how everybody, there's that, the carousel where everybody gets their bags and they all go stand too close, and then you got to, excuse me and whatever. I'm going to paint a line 5 feet back. I'm going to pay one little angry dude with a bamboo cane, and he's going to be in that line, and it's going to be the red zone. You see your bag, you step up, you grab your bag, you go away. You don't, that little angry man with a cane is going to give you a whack or two. Keep that bad boy clean.
Dude, I would pay to see that. And it's always like the old grandma that's just like standing there, and her flight got in early and she got told that carousels were her luggage at. But like, yeah, Karen, we got to get through Seattle and Phoenix before we hit fucking Pittsburgh. Can you just like wait back there?
Can you know, lady, please get out of the way. I got stuff I got to do.
Exactly. And you could probably just like tip the guy, and he'll just whack.
I don't even think so. I think he's going to end up hating his life so much. He's going to be fueled by just pure anger at other humans. And like, you just pay him in cigarettes and the occasional, like, old school rip fuel with ephedra in it, dude. Just a couple of those, and let him smoke. If you let that guy smoke inside, imagine a little dude smoking a cigarette, sweaty and just pissed off at humans. No one's getting close to that luggage carousel.
We got to just give him like a scoop of the OG 1MR. You know what I mean? That shit with the fucking actual the amphetamine in it. That'll be it.
Did you see they just released the Jack 3D? So the Jack original floor.
I did see that. Yes, that's amazing. I'm so glad. I gotta admit, like I thought maybe that'd been something Trump did. Because that just seems like his whole thing. Just want people.
It does seem right up his alley. You're right.
It does, but I don't care. I don't care where right comes from. You know what I'm saying? Whoever does it, I'm here for it. So it's important to me.
When it's true. Imagine Trump gets on and just starts talking about, there was somebody that brought back Jack, the original, not this new stuff, the original formula. Hilarious.
That's how I got through COVID.
And that's,
you can't do it.
I heard he didn't have the energy to get up. Sad. Not me.
I got
3,000 milligrams of caffeine for breakfast.
Maybe you should tell Trump where you got your wig.
Where what?
I said Zach should let Trump know where he got his wig, because that would be kind of cool.
Oh, I got it from Jeff Bezos.
It'd be hilarious.
Could you imagine if he did like you got it from Jeff Bezos?
Yeah, Amazon.
I guess that's true. I got mine from Jeff Bezos too. Amazon. Yeah.
Wow. So you guys really don't understand how Amazon works. This is breathtaking. I'm glad that we got this out of the way. You think it's all Jeff Bezos' stuff, huh?
Yeah,
it is. It's coming from his house.
Yeah.
He never made. You saw that picture of him in the garage? Yeah, he never made it out of that garage.
It's a small mom and pop shop. I go by, and they just ship out stuff that I need.
That's right.
The American dream.
Every book I've gotten off Amazon comes from Jeff's basement.
100%.
Every single one.
He ships
it
himself.
I'm pretty sure he's got like a printing press. He's just all day. That's why he's so jacked. Just printing press.
Man, he just goes to show, like, you're not getting old. You're just broke. You know what I mean? Like, look at J-Lo. Like, J-Lo is 745 years old. That chick is still winning beauty pageants. She's gorgeous. Like, everybody that sees her is just like, she's not real. She's somehow defying time in general. Jeff Bezos, same thing.
That's like Dolly Parton, too. What was that? She was at the halftime show recently for some game. I was like, get the fuck out of here, dude. And she's in a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader outfit. I was like, would. Why not, 9 to 5, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, wow. Absolutely. You're in timeout. I don't know what we got to do, but yeah.
I'll just mute myself here.
That's it.
There's a reference, right?
You're gone, Dolly Parton. How dare you?
Sorry.
She's a treasure.
She is, man.
She's an American hero.
I would though. It's true. Actually, your hair and hers kind of match. It's true,
You actually do a little bit.
There's a resemblance.
There is Not so much in the goatee.
Like, no, thank God. Jesus. Maybe if there was like a trans contest for Dolly Partons, you might get a goatee in there. I don't know.
Goatee to mustache?
Well, speaking of Trump, Aaron. I wonder what Trump would look like with a mustache. I wonder if there's a picture out there.
I'll look.
But I am wondering what you think about all this hullabaloo about keeping Trump off the ballot.
Oh, man, just buckle up for 2024. So we're getting into a position here, right? And here's my problem with 2024, and I'll get to your question here in a second. But
cool, man.
Man, we are setting ourselves up where nobody's going to accept any results either way on either side of the coin in either direction. So basically what you're cooking up here is now that you have these idiots in Colorado and the Supreme Court's going to take it. So Colorado has to put them back on there because that's how stays work when they file these injunctions. But they have to put them back on the ballot. The Supreme Court's going to look at it. They're probably going to, if it doesn't go 9-0, I would be shocked. I think even the Supreme Court's going to have to go 9-0 on this one, even with some of the more liberal, judges and entities up there being probably a little bit more vocal in their dissent. But I don't even know if they're going to truly file dissent. I don't think they're going to vote against it. I think they're going to go, okay, this was terrible. It didn't prove what you said it did, and it should have never gotten here. I think that's probably what happens. But it doesn't matter because Trump's been in the news, and now it looks like, again, the charge here was for insurrection. He's never been charged with or convicted of the crime of insurrection. Nobody has. He didn't incite it. He's on tape not saying it. We have all the stuff in the world that the reason that they said the 14th Amendment, and specifically, Section 3, saying that, a felon can't hold office, even that's spurious for what they're claiming it to be. I think that's plain. But what you're setting up is a system where Republicans know that this is a farce, and Republicans know that they're just using lawfare against the number one political opponent in order to garner some sort of favor or flail in either direction. They want to adjust this process, right? You're not allowed to call that rigged because then people freak out and they're like, oh, you're saying they invented votes. Well, no, but I'm saying that these things can have leverage placed on them in directions, and say if you suppress a story right before an election cycle, say about a laptop, you can actually change 16 to 18% of those people's minds about who they vote for. And that's what happened before. So now Republicans are like, no, there's no way. You're losing all of, you're using lawfare against a political opponent. This is all nonsense. This should not be true. That can be true at the very same time that the Democrats are also going, oh, wait, hold on. The only reason you guys are going after Biden with all this fake impeachment crap is because he's such a good dude. Meanwhile, the Republicans are like, no, we have all this evidence. So we have all of this evidence against it. All that stuff is already baked into the cake, right? So how do I feel about them keeping Trump off of the lawsuit or off of the ballot? So it's good and it's bad. It's at least waking people up that there is this lawfare going on that they're using, and it only goes one way. Democrats do not get persecuted the way that Republicans do. It doesn't even get handled the same in the news cycle. It's almost passé to have these conversations because it's so apparent. It's not even a debate. 10 years ago, there was a debate, right? Is the news media really that liberal? Are they really in that much of the pocket of the DNC? And do they really run that much cover for them? 10 years ago, that's a debate amongst intellectuals, especially those in tricorn hats. But now it's not it's not even a question. It's like, oh, no. Oh, they're super, super liberal. And yeah, they're 100% in the pocket of big pharma and in the pocket of, these left-leaning ideologies. You see it everywhere all the time. It's not even a question. It's an open secret. Even Fox News or, people that you think have conservative outlets, it's nowhere close to just objective. It's just not. Everything is biased. So, I've come to expect it at this point. We'll see how many more people it wakes up. And to be honest with you, it is mobilizing the base to a certain extent. The more every single time he gets hit with something like this, that people go, oh no, that's bullshit. And I'm even more in this guy's corner now because he's a big throbbing orange middle finger to the left. And people are fed up with it, man. The pendulum swung really hard out of whack in 2000, really starting in 2012. 2016, it slowed down a little bit, but everything was really weird. The Trump presidency to 2020 and then 2020 now to here. It's just been a shit show. Everywhere we look, it's been, the Overton window is just speeding
it is.
to areas that we have no idea. We're like, oh, this is just normal now. Oh, this is just normal. Oh, okay. I didn't know we did this in a normal society. And it's because we never did it before. But, I will say that I don't know if we really get to an area where both sides are essentially going, well, this is the last election. This is it for freedom. The left is going, we got to get Biden elected because Trump is a fascist and a Nazi and a racist. And he did all these things that we can't pin him down for. Don't look at our corruption. But if Trump wins, democracy dies, right? That's what they're going to say. But then the right's going to turn around and they're going to go this incompetent, old, mushy brains, whatever names that they're going to use for the president to slander him. They're like, you already know who Trump is. Trump, nothing stuck to him. He had to endure all this other stuff. And the Republicans are going to go, oh God, if Joe Biden gets elected again, who knows what's going to happen with a replacement or some of those other theories about how it is that they're going to have a Game of Thrones sort of secession over there on the left. But they're like, this is it. This is the last election. We can't let Joe Biden win. Man, when you have both parties saying that, that's not a good thing. That's not like a way to go forward. That paints you into very dark corners very quickly.
Yeah.
Hey, if we don't win, you both sides, if we don't win, this is the last election. This might be it for America. You can't go that hyperbolic. Like, it can't be a thing. That's the emergency brake or the edge you got to stay away from, because it's very tempting to go, oh, well, this is it. This is the last one. No, it's not. Like, Trump wins. It's not going to be the end of the left. Like, it's not going to become Handmaid's Tale out here in these streets. Like, that's not a thing. Like, we're not going back to biblofascism or whatever it is the new term is. But at the same thing, like, if President Biden wins again, like, we made it through this far, and yeah, it sucks, but maybe we'll pick up some seats in the House, some seats in the Senate. We'll get some stuff done. We'll actually have some actual authority to get something passed. Who knows? But yeah, man, it's going to be wild for sure. I'll say that much.
What's interesting about it is every time Donald Trump gets like another indictment against him or something else real big about in the news, his polls go up. He becomes more possible to like be the Republican frontrunner and more possible to go up against Biden every time he's supposed to be portrayed as like a bad person. Every single time it just goes up higher.
Well, yeah, because Trump's a mud monster, man. Like, I'll put the hat on here in a little bit. So Trump's a mud monster, right? Like, who Trump is. Like, and these ideas are not, the things that I'm saying are not like the most earth-shattering things. Like, there's a ton of conservative folks that talk about this, but you know who Trump is. If you want to fight Trump in the mud, that's why nobody will debate him, because he doesn't care. Everybody already knows that he is a mud monster. So if you throw mud at him and he gets bigger, oh, nice. That's a fantastic mustache. But if you throw mud at Trump, you just make him bigger.
I like him with
But Joe Biden, on the other hand, everybody's been telling, like, his shtick forever has been old grandpa that likes ice cream and that will be your friend, and is just been in politics my whole life, and gee golly, I'm from Pennsylvania, blah blah blah, and like the old timey stories and shit. Like, that's who he's supposed to be. Oh, he's got a beard too. Look at that guy.
That's terrible. Honestly,
that does not look good at all.
No, like, he looks like Mall Santa from like Compton.
He doesn't even look. I don't even know what that looks like. But I'll tell you what, it is off-putting. I do not like that at all.
He knows when you're awake. He knows if you came into the U.S. illegally.
Right now too. You could be, if you told me you were an elf, Zach, and not a colonial woman or whatever you're dressed as today.
He's Betsy Ross, guys.
God,
if you didn't know already.
Hey, go over in the corner and spangle some bitches and quit talking to me, Betsy Ross.
That's right.
Just spangle them shits on there.
Yeah, but you got a couple more.
But yeah, man. So when you get into these kind of like binary choices and you look at what we're saying about the presidents and what's the secession going to look like? Like, how is Trump going to kind of climb this mountain? Then you have like really interesting things that are just interesting to think about. Like, imagine having a president that is literally behind bars when he takes the presidency, because that's a very real possibility. There's nothing prohibiting it in the Constitution or in the way that we do anything.
About that before.
To be honest with you, like, that's where people are. Yeah, that pendulum has swung, and it started to swing back, and we have to watch about how far does that pendulum swing back. And I think, I called it. I don't mean to say that I called it as in, pat myself on the back, but I said it a long time ago. Is nothing makes me happier than watching political parties really shoot themselves in the foot because they think they're smarter than they are. This applies to both sides. You see it all the time. But when we started talking about prosecuting your number one political opponent for nonsense, and we can all tell that it's nonsense, you got to be careful, because there's no putting the genie back in that bottle. So now what? Like, when the Republicans get in charge, we're just going to start prosecuting people and kicking them off having 2-year, $40 million investigations into, whatever, just that turned out to be nonsense. Like, we're going to kick you off your subcommittees. Like, what do you want to do? You want to play games with this now that we have it? Because you're moving the ball down that court. You're establishing that precedence for the future. And I've said it for a long time. I don't like it, but in the same breath, I do not like it. But if the Republicans' classic mistake here is they're like, well, we're the party of decorum. We're not going to use these tactics against, those days are over. Like, you can't do that. Now you have to wield that political power the same way or worse that they were in order to protect your own interests and to make sure that, things happen. Like, stuff that got shoved under the rug was there was a vote that just went through that no president can remove America from NATO without congressional approval. Like usually up until now, the president could have removed us from NATO and just been like, no, we're not in NATO anymore. We're not doing that. So they just voted very quietly about a week and a half ago that no president from here on out will be able to vote to get out of NATO on their own. They'll need another layer of approval by Congress. Why do you think that is? Because what do you think the first thing that President Trump would do is?
Get out of NATO,
figure it out.
That's exactly what would happen.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to deal with Article 5. He doesn't want to deal with these really intra-theater skirmishes that people are having that are drawing us into the brink of war or hamstringing us in such a way economically that we can't tend to our own business here at home. That's an effective tool in warfare. That's a non-kinetic, really economic piece of warfare. That's a smart thing to do. Like make us, how many Instagram causes can we all donate money to? Like what flag am I supposed to put in my bio this week? Like there's a section of America that can't wait to donate to the next cause, or they're happy to pay their, this was last summer. Oh, I'm happy to pay higher taxes to beat Putin. Get out of here. What are you talking about? What are you even talking? I'm happy to pay more money at the pump if that means that Putin can't win in Ukraine. Like, wow, you are an idiot.
I laugh hardcore at all the people with the Ukraine bumper stickers personally.
Why? I mean, I generally, I really do mean that though. Like it would interest me to talk to somebody that is so, in Ukraine's corner in this whole thing that they put a bumper sticker on their car in Milwaukee to drive around with. Like, bro, what are we talking about? What's the
Ukrainian
connection?
flags,
you obviously felt some type of way.
Like people's yards up here in upstate New York. You'd be driving around and there'll be like the American flag and then the Ukrainian flag, and you're like, what the heck are you doing?
It's strange. One thing if your family is Ukrainian, I could totally understand that and would 100% be like, yo, man, I get it, But I don't get everybody here being. It's like kind of that conversation you and I had, Aaron, talking about how people really soon forget all the things that happened just 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and the news cycle is very good at that because it's so quick. But I bet if you asked 50 people on the street, and I actually haven't seen any videos like this, but they might be out there, but about if they know anything about what happened to Ukraine when Obama was president, you probably would get a lot of no's. I have no idea.
What happened in 2014? Just start there. Just tell me in 2014 in Ukraine. Tell me what big thing happened, and then we'll just pull that thread. And 2 hours later, that person would be like, yo,
how do I get a bumper sticker off my car?
How do I get a bumper sticker off my car, homie? Well, and the news cycle, and it was a great conversation that you and I had about, people forget that this is a thing, is, the news cycle itself forces you into these very short cycles of, orient, outrage, act out, and then just forget about it. Like you go in this just snap cycle of these things, like stuff will happen, like, 8 to 10 foot aliens in Miami last night. Like you can barely find.
I saw that. Oh, it's the Nephilim, Aaron. You gotta use the right words. It's the Nephilim.
Them Nephilim came to partied up in Miami.
That was a fuckload of cops, though.
Dude, yeah. Like that's the thing too. Is people ask me about conspiracies, and again, I love conspiracies. A like or a reshare doesn't mean I believe your favorite conspiracy. It just means I find it interesting. So,
true.
Careful. There are people that are just like, oh, you got to believe in this one, right? And I'm like, nah, homie, I don't. That's wild. I'll
entertain all ideas, but it doesn't mean I have to adopt their concepts as truth.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, you're right. So I love them. But the two places that the aliens have been that we've seen them like on the ground, Vegas and Miami. Now listen,
always.
if I was going to Miami, or if I was going to, the United States and I was going to visit Vegas and Miami, homie, they're not wrong.
They've got good travel agents. Somebody's giving them good advice,
They really do. They're saying like, take me to Hyper America. All right, first we're going to go to Vegas. Then we're going to go to Miami.
America. I'm totally going to go to fucking Chat GPT and type in whatever DAL-E thinks Hyper America looks like. And
then you just got to make it more and more America. Make it more America.
This is not American enough. Pretty soon it's just going to be it's going to be Donald Trump with a mustache. Right?
That's it. Riding a bald eagle, shooting off an RPG with the ghost of Ronald Reagan approving in the clouds. Just,
Just waiting in the wings like Obi-Wan Kenobi at the end of Star Wars. You know what I mean?
It just says sad on the side of his RPG launcher, just because in Trump voice, sad. I love when he ends, like he'll just say something and be like, oh yeah, Zach tried to pull off the hat. Sad. Sad. Like he just ends.
He died like a dog in the street.
He died. Dude, that's Shane Gillis. Have you seen that Shane Gillis?
I have, dude. That's literally what I was trying to do just now.
My goodness.
His impressions are amazing.
Baghdad al-Baghdadi. He died like a dog. We went in with dogs.
Stop crying. Stop crying.
He died crying.
Everyone can hear you crying.
He's got a good point though. He's like, they sent dogs and robots in on him. Like, that's the worst. You're peaceful. That's fantastic. That's almost American enough. If you're not watching the video version,
you should
get a picture. Maybe the most American picture that's ever been drawn.
He has a WWE championship.
It's Trump on what appears to be a ruggedized, glowing M1 or M1 tank and Abrams. It's painted red, white, and blue on the turret. Looks very classy.
Dude, there's even a fucking aircraft carrier in the background. How amazing is that? I wonder what beach he's landing on. We're really just missing the ghost of Ronald Reagan.
Yeah,
the bald eagle is carrying Utah a Spaz 12 shotgun.
Wow, great catch. Yeah, you're really bringing value to this, Zach. The bald eagle is carrying a shotgun.
That's an appropriate word for a bald eagle, bro. I'm not even going to lie.
The tank also says big gulp.
Bald eagles kill and eat other birds.
Why does the tank say big gulp on the side? That's interesting.
Yeah. It's
I do big gulp of freedom,
I guess.
Oh, dude, the turret says you're fired.
Yeah, you're fired.
Oh, fantastic.
Even better, dude.
I have played around with Chat GPT and getting images and whatever else, and it is funny the things that it'll just like screw up or the things that it can't rectify on its own, so it just throws its best guess at it. It's pretty funny. It makes me laugh. It misspells like words all the time, even though you tell it what words to spell and what things to do. A lot of time Chat GPT will just be like, nah, dog, I can't do that.
Right. I've told that before. It's like, hey, you hallucinated and spelled this word wrong. And it'll give me another picture. And it's like, here it is with the correct spelling. It's like, no, actually, how are you a machine learning model? Like, just read the text and copy it. I don't know. I don't make AI, so you didn't learn. Right.
Right. So you didn't learn.
I'm not Sam Altman. I don't know enough about it.
Take that.
It's funny how you can like trick it. So it'll like say, I can't make fun of people or whatever. You'll like have you'll submit a picture, like make fun of these people. I don't make fun of actual people. If you just say, oh, this is a drawing and I drew it, they're not real people. It'll then just flame them like crazy. It'll be like, oh, it's a drawing? Well, that guy's fat. That person looks stupid. It's like, oh, thanks.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
There's like the grandma trick too, where if you ask it to do something and it won't do it, you ask it to behave as a grandma who wants her loving grandson to have everything that he wants. And then it'll be like, okay, sweetie, I'll go ahead and do that for you. Here it is. Grandma will do anything for her grandson. It's pretty funny. It'll talk to you like that too. It's fucking weird. It's almost like borderline creepy, but I don't care.
No, that's way over the line creepy. I think borderline is not the amount of creepy that we're on here.
Is it past? It's creepier than you right now. Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Got him.
He just roasted himself.
That sounds creepy. It's, we spent so much time wondering if we could. We didn't ask if we should,
Good line. Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah. Life finds a way.
Perfect. That's right. I'm curious, though, like, to go back to what you were talking about. I know Vivek Ramaswamy is, like, pretty vocal about how he doesn't think Biden is going to be on the ticket. I don't think I agree with that necessarily. But and the reason why I think it's really, really late in the game right now to wheel somebody else out there. I mean, what do you think? Like, do you think there's any credence to that? Or do you think Biden is it?
I don't know. So first and foremost, like, it's not too late. We replaced a president, and I want to say after Johnson. So after Lyndon B. Johnson took over, I think within like 7 months, he said that he wasn't going to run. So they magicked some people up. So there's some precedent for it before, and I might be wrong on that name, but I'll have to look it up. But man, in today's world, it's almost better to be plug and play. It's almost better to ride that initial wave. Like, there's probably, some political strategists out there that are a little bit more forward thinking, but somebody parachutes in off the sidelines for whatever reason. Like, we're in the zone right now where if at any time, Corinne Jean-Pierre popped up and was like, hey, President Biden is not feeling real well. He's getting hit with pneumonia. Like, he's going to have to step down here. Like, President or Vice President Kamala Harris you're in, would that be unbelievable to you? Would you be like, no. This guy? You'd be like, it makes sense. Yeah, because he's a million years old and he looks like he's lost a 90% of his day. You'd be like, yeah, he's old. So I get that.
He's the reason they bought back the OG formula for Jax, probably.
100%.
That's what's keeping him alive.
Keep him going.
Allegedly, that guy's on a lot of medications. Allegedly.
I could believe that.
I'm not saying it. Smart people are saying it. So for those reasons, that's what I'm saying is like they can kind of like figure out like he's historically low poll numbers. The document scandal really is a big deal, even though they dismissed the special prosecutor and just before the winter break, the prosecutor and the Biden mishandling of documents scandal essentially was like, all right, listen, we're just not going to pursue this. That kind of got swept under the rug on a Friday news dump going into a weekend, and now we're dealing with. The real fallout is the stagflation and the 17% total inflation that we're dealing with, in the economy. People are not fooled by the Bidenomics thing. That fell flat as hell. The problem with the Democrats is they don't have anybody. People hate Harris even more than they hate Biden at this point. The only person that is outperforming Biden in the negative poll region is Harris. She is just absolutely unlikable. She was polling at 0% when she got out of her own primary, where she accused Joe Biden of being a sexual predator, oddly enough.
Crazy. We did it, Joe.
And now we're here, right? So they don't really have anybody to go to. So unless you're talking about like somebody literally parachuting in from the sidelines, it's obvious Gavin Newsom has been running a shadow campaign. It's obvious that's what he's doing. You don't have foreign dignitaries to your state just to say hi to everybody. You do it as a show, like, hey, I'm trying to do this thing. So that's
you don't go to China to try to cross up Chinese kids with a basketball and fall over.
Got him. Yeah, kid shouldn't have planted his feet. That's what happens. Keep it moving, kid. But when you see stuff like that, you just know. And by the way, the Democrats won't be able to get out of their own way. They will not allow young, white, affluent Gavin Newsom to be president. That's not a thing. They cannot go from Joe Biden to Gavin Newsom while passing Harris. Like the intersectional coalitional left will just absolutely lose their minds. And they're already fractured enough. He's already distanced himself from the very far left of his party and has made everybody super mad. So for the first time, the Democrats are showing cracks of, not solidarity and people doing their own thing. And Joe Biden is a big problem for them right now. So, does Vivek go too far when he says, oh, he's 100% not going to be there? Man, I think that's probably too far. I mean, you could roll the dice, anything could happen, right? And it's not a bad bet considering the age, considering the stress of actually going out and campaigning if he's going to do that. But he campaigned from his basement last time. He didn't campaign at all. He's not debating.
Life could happen. No, life could happen. He could just natural causes, but who knows?
Yeah, for sure. So, to say it like Vivek does, like Vivek says a lot of stuff. He's a good soundbite. Some of his policy is a little bit squishy. He's fun to listen to. He says true things in, kind of like taboo environments where you're not supposed to speak that truly. But, for substance, I don't see a whole lot of substance in Vivek. He's fun. He's fun to watch his abs, and he's a skilled debater. His books were good. I read both of his books. I thought both of his books were good. And I mean, he's definitely funny on a debate stage.
What would you say? Because I haven't read his books. Which one of them did you take the most value from?
The woke society or something. He perfectly nailed where we were going as as the rise of safetyism and the infiltration of our campuses and where it is that these Gen Z, Gen Alpha kids are going towards. He laid the roadmap out as well as anybody has in the last 5. I think it's maybe Woke Incorporated. What is Woke Inc. or something? I think
you're right. I think it's Woke Inc. Yeah.
I think that's it. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not pulling it off the top of my head. But
Lord Jamie could look it up.
Lord Jamie, look that up. But no, I distinctly remember that, despite not being able to come up with the name of the whatever. Like that was the first time I even knew that I was mispronouncing the dude's name wrong. That's how that's how little I'd heard Vivek Ramaswamy when I got that book. I actually pronounced his name wrong to somebody, and they were like, "Oh, do you mean Vivek?" And I was like, "Oh, Vivek," and they were like, "No, that's not how you say his name." And I was like, "Oh, word!" Like that's, I'd never even heard of the guy, but he's entertaining to watch. I do dig it, and he nailed it. Whatever it is, Woke Incorporated, Woke whatever,
Woke Inc.
He absolutely nailed
inside corporate America's social justice scam.
There you go. So he talks about DEI. He talks about where we're going, in all of those lanes, and just absolutely crushes it. Just crushed it.
I'll have to check it out then.
Yeah.
The only thing that really concerns me about him, like you said, he's got some squishy policies. I don't know if coming in day one and completely gutting everything, if that's the knee jerk, I mean, I think eventually that should happen. There should be a process of removing unnecessary offices and positions and shit like that. But it shouldn't be knee jerk. But I worry how much he says and the things he says I like, but if they're too good to be true.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's got no chance in the primary. Like,
Yeah.
two things can be true at the same time. He's great to listen to, and it's cool, but he shouldn't be in the race. At this point, really, it's a 2-person race on the Republican side, and it's really Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. Nikki Haley, she said some okay things. She said some terrifying things that I don't like. I don't like her hawkishness on general foreign policy. I don't like her record on a lot of the things that she's done. I don't think that she is what we need right now. So I think, in my mind, it's DeSantis and Trump, and it's really a question on, well, what do you want? Do you want to try to get some things done? Do you want to try a skilled politician, somebody that will get in there and fight and has a good track record of fighting and winning, but you're going to take a little bit of the flamboyance away? All right, well, then you got Ron DeSantis. If you don't, if you want to try to burn it to the ground and you want 4 more years of a fight, you're only getting 4 more years. Like, Trump doesn't have a second term in this.
Exactly.
So if you want 4 more years to hopefully set up for the next 12, because unless we set up something with Trump to get a successor in there, it's only going to be 4 years. And we have not held the throne for that long in the past 20 years. We being a conservative party, or, I don't typically call myself a Republican, but just for the sake of conversation here, being the Republican Party, hasn't done enough with what they've had. So you got to figure out how you're not just setting this one up, but if Trump wins, that's a big question as well. Who's next?
Yeah.
Because he spent all of his time just absolutely blasting everybody that he's worked with at every single term. Like, Ron DeSanctimonious, like, just doing dumb stuff, like giving dumb nicknames and, blasting people for stuff that's actually good policy. And, he seems to have forgotten DeSantis's record on COVID and a bunch of other stuff. Like, hey man, I seem to remember when Florida was doing the best out of everybody. And even though they had the oldest population, their death rate was less than California. I seem to remember that.
Definitely did a little bit better than New York. You know what I'm saying?
100%. So, when those things happen, you're just like, man, what are we doing here? Like, what are we trying to get out of this? There's a large part of me that would love Trump to win just to watch the liberal tears just absolutely flow, because they would.
Oh yeah.
But there's also in a strategist sort of view or mindset, there are millions, not billions, but there are millions of people that will come out and vote just to vote against Trump. It doesn't matter who they're voting for. It could be a bag of potatoes. If it's Trump, it's gonna be like, this is a shot to democracy. You have to come out and vote in any way that you can for the Democratic candidate. It's not gonna matter who's in there. So then that opens the door to like super weird
vote
stuff.
Blue, no
President
matter
Biden
who.
goes out.
I've heard that so many times.
Yeah, exactly. Vote blue, no matter who. Exactly. They do that one thing well. And what happens when that vote blue is, Michelle Obama with Gavin Newsom as the running mate?
I don't even know what I'd do at that point.
Like, tell me weirder stuff hasn't happened. President Obama is the only president that did not move his primary residence away from the DC area when he was done being president. He's the only one that hasn't done it. He still lives within earshot of all those other things. We've seen him on video talking about, if I could just be in the back with an earpiece, tell him what to say and do the stuff. He's like, I would do that.
Probably does.
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying, but what I am saying is, man, that sets this narrative up pretty well for, that, because that satisfies the left's need for intersectionality. The name is already Obama. You've got Newsom, like moving in as the VP. And that handles your next, maybe Michelle only does one term to solidify Gavin Newsom, and then she endorses Newsom going forward. And suddenly that looks like, I don't know, 20 straight years of Democrat rule in the president, right?
Well, this is the thing that concerns me, is kind of one of the things Zach and I talked about a lot on our What is a Active War episode, is these parties, they're not running to lead the country anymore. They're just running to shut each other down. And they're just competing against each other, not competing for us against each other. And this long game you're talking about of putting Michelle Obama in one term to set up Gavin Newsom for 8 and all this other shit. Like, I'm sure they strategize that way and have forever, but it would not be for the betterment of the country anymore. It would just be to hold on to power. Right. And that's the thing. That's the problem. And that's, to me, how in my opinion, I don't see anything getting fixed anytime soon, no matter who's in there. And I'm at a loss for what to do about it, besides some things that I probably shouldn't say publicly. So,
right, end up on that list. I think you're right. I think it's closer to a uniparty than it is anything. The both parties, their number one thing that they want to do is stay in power and in the position that they are now, if not to a better power position for them. They want to continue to go upward. So, to an extent, there is a uniparty. It is, the politicians against the people. That's really what it's evolved to now. And you're right. I do think it's broken, and I don't know how it is that we just fix it on a dime. I think there's a lot of things that you can do to fix it, and the more that people kind of like band together, the harder it's going to be for the government. But, it's doing simple stuff like, Dan Holloway says on his podcast, Citizen Pod, straight up find a good tribe of people, find stuff that you can do better than the government, and then box the government out. Like, hey, everybody watches each other's house here. We all have interconnected cameras and stuff. We don't need police presence trolling around here. Like, if we need you, we'll call you in here. But we got it here. Everybody's legally carrying weapons, and we all look after each other's kids. And, there's a whole host of things that you can start doing. You're like, hey, this community does it better than government assistance. We don't need the government assistance because we don't want the strings that it comes with. We'll grow our own food. We'll barter. We'll all have chickens. We'll all do stuff that we can help each other out with.
What's crazy is that's not even a novel idea, especially when you were touching into it when you were getting into the whole like raising community farms and shit like that, like taking care of each other, walking out for each other's kids. You have to go back to your parents' generation to find shit like that. But, policing yourself, all that, it's nothing new. And it's stuff that you could absolutely go back to. There's a precedent for it. There's models for it. And, I'm all here for those people in our country right now that are homesteading and moving out to the middle of nowhere in Arizona and buying a fucking farm and living like that. Like, at this point, that sounds about the best thing that anybody could do. And I would do that in a heartbeat, honestly.
It's getting closer, man. Like, the older I get, the further and further I'm moving away from the cities, and, less and less do I like the city life. And I won't pretend like I grew up on a farm or anything, because I definitely didn't. But, there's a little something to be said for, a little patch of land that you can see people coming from a little way, and, your neighbors. And I mean, that feels pretty good. It feels pretty good to be left alone. Like, that's kind of like the American dream.
Rambo wanted.
Yeah, that's it. He just wanted to be left alone.
Yeah.
But that's the dream, right? Those individual rights, those individual freedoms. That is the, nobody can come on your land and tell you what to do. That's your land.
It's like taking it back to Shane Gillis. I just want to know when you realized you had early onset Republican. When you started like in history, wanted to move off the grid, right? I think everybody gets to that point. If you don't, it's weird. Yeah. What are you drinking? Looks good.
It is a Maker's Mark cask edition that I got from my boys over at ATAC Elite. They were nice enough to hook it up on a Christmas present. Yeah, it's funny how that goes. What's the old saying? If you're young and conservative, you don't have a heart. If you're old and liberal, you don't have a brain.
Yeah. I dropped that on somebody the other day because it's true. They wrote me one of these new like podcasts that I saw that are up and coming and followed us. And wrote me and was like, hey, blah, blah, blah. I really like what you're doing. And I was like, well, thanks. I appreciate that. And he's like, I never thought I'd make a podcast talking about conservative values. And he's like, now I'm in my late 30s and doing all this shit. And that quote that you said immediately came to mind. So I just hit him with it. He's like, I never heard that before. And I was like, it seems to be pretty true because, everybody, like, again, we keep talking about Shane Gillis. He said, I'm trying to be cool and hip and liberal, but I'm at George Washington's house and fuck, man. Just trying. Now I'm a Republican. Right. It's so true, though. He is hilarious, man.
He is funny. Yeah. It's just funny, like how that stuff goes. And then, you try to be. I've always been a policy, not a party, sort of guy. I'm like, hey, if I have these values and they align correctly, and there's not going to be a single movement that gets you, to the finish line that you can just be like, nope, this is it, 100%. We agree on everything. Every single political party out there is a give and take, and it's what percentage are you willing to give up? What percentage do you need to assimilate in order to get everybody's goals done together? And then who do you identify with? That's why you can't really be in two parties in the system that we have, because if I, just by nature now, those two things are at odds. Like those two things are fighting against one another now, and just out of sheer spite, even if it's a good idea, one side's idea may be completely discarded for whatever reason. So
Dude, and people get so angry when you're not on one side or the other. Like it's like you can't exist in both camps to them, and I hate that because they do. It's like a visceral response as well.
Right.
And I'll quantify that by saying like what you were talking about before with Trump and having only one term left. I mentioned that to somebody who, when we were talking about having like who we want to see run as president again, they're like Trump. I'm like, that's fair. I wouldn't be opposed to that, but the thing that biggest concerns me is that he can only have one term. And they're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And I, trying to explain to them like, well, yeah, man, like he already had one. There's been presidents before that had a term, then got interrupted and then finished off with their last 4 years though. But that would be it. He can't do anything else. And they're like, well, maybe he'd figure out a way to stay another 4 years. It's like, bro,
nah,
like you're part of the problem. Now you're talking about actually subverting the Constitution.
Right.
We're not going to go down that road. And but people do, man. They get super angry when you don't like, or if you like somebody from another party or what they're saying. You have to be one or the other.
With the bus stop analogy in a previous video, where like when you're voting, it's like getting on the bus and getting off at a certain stop, and who you're voting for is where the bus route is going. The bus is never going to stop exactly where you need it to. You should vote for what gets the bus closest to where you need to be. But you need to understand there's a bunch of different other stops on the bus route, and there's other people on the bus. And voting for the bus that's going the opposite direction of where you need to go just because you don't want the guy next to you to go that direction doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Well done. That's exactly it. And it's funny to talk to people because again, like people are, oh, you Republicans? Like, well, I'm not really a Republican. Like I'm the true meaning of an independent. It's just there are so many things that I think are better for America. Like conservatism is just better for America. It's better for every society that adheres to some sort of conservative principles or some sort of conservative mindset. Like we have the benefit of growing up in a Judeo-Christian country that was based on those values. And, due to what we're extremely lucky, right? Like Canada up north, we got Mexico on south, we got oceans on either ends. We're protected geographically, and in the geopolitical climate, it's not like Europe. People just can't overrun a couple countries and all of a sudden they're in charge of half of the geographical space. Like we are protected both by geography and by the friendships that we made over here. So we have a little bit of that freedom where we don't necessarily have to worry about other bad state actors. But all that to say, like America is great at certain things. The political environment that we're working in right now is not the best, and it's got people seriously riled up. So when you're talking about aligning to a set of morals or values, it's easy for me to be like, okay, well, what's the right wing take on this? Because it's probably not going to be crazy. It's probably not going to be. It's not. Somebody isn't going to look at the right wing thing, the first quote that I read, and go, well, math is racist, so 2 + 2 might equal 5, which is an actual headline. Being punctual is a sign of toxic masculinity and hyper racism.
You've just got time blindness, man.
Time blindness, like how, like, and this stuff is just like,
would love an airman say that to me.
Get out of here. Like, and they, it's just gotten into the zeitgeist in such a way where you're like, listen, I know it feels like I'm on their side all the time. You know why? Because they're doing the not crazy thing. Like the second the second the election turns out to be like, hey, I'm voting for a return to normalcy, or hey, I want an end to all this nonsense. I don't want to play this game anymore. The side that gets to, hey, we're just pretty normal first is going to win.
Yeah, that's just it. I don't care where the good ideas come from. If somebody from the Democrat side stepped up and was like, hey, we've gone too far. The left has gone too far. Here are the things I want to do. And if it was shit I agree with, I would not care that there was a D next to their name at all. I care about the country. End of story.
Yeah, because if you're a politician, I already don't like you. It's as if people are like, APAC. Oh, do you sign? Yeah, exactly. Every single one, defund politicians. But it's people assume, a couple of different fallacies. They're like, oh, you're a Republican? Well, what about this one guy that did this horrific thing this one time? Okay. I don't know, man. I'll tell you what, that guy sucks. I hope, is he dead? He is dead? Okay, tight. He probably got what he deserved. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's all bad, but that's not what we're talking about. You're just distracting. And like you said, using whataboutism to be, oh, well, what about this? What about this? That's not what we're talking about, but that's all it is. It's like dunking on the internet all the time now.
Right. It feels good. It's like what Zach likes to say. Does this just feel good, or does it actually progress something?
Yeah. I love it. That's the rocking chair analogy, like rocking, there's a lot of progress, but not a lot of, or there's a lot of action, but not a lot of progress on a rocking chair.
I like that.
That's the internet. That's talking to the comment section right there, buddy.
Exactly. More and more, I'm going to take Joe Rogan's advice and not read the comments. I really should. Except the ones on my posts. I'll appreciate people saying something.
Comment section is garbage.
Dude, your comment section is ridiculous. I get in there. Looks like a bunch of people that just huffed a bunch of Ready Whip cans and then got online.
I appreciate them. I'm glad for every single one of them.
They hate helps.
They make me laugh. There are honestly some things on there. The thing that I really started to do too is I remembered, I'm like, listen, this is not how this person is in real life. It might not even be a real person. It might just be a really good bot. Like I get a lot of good bots now. Like, man, there's no reason for me to open my phone, this little rectangle of death, and then look for a reason to be mad. Like there is no reason that I pull that thing out just to be like, oh, I can't believe you said something mean about me. Usually I look at it, I'm like, oh, it got me good. And I'll put like a little response in, and then I just go on with life. Just because like they don't really mean that. They wouldn't say that to my face. If we had an actual discussion, I guarantee we'd agree on more than we disagreed on. It probably wouldn't end in a fist fight. It wouldn't end in anybody being mean to one another. So the second that you turn that corner and realize it's just people acting out of pocket, and people are just go to the grocery store on any random Sunday. Yeah. And you will figure out how crazy people are. There's just crazy people. And some of them have phones, and some of them, most of them follow my page.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I live outside the United States in California, and I often go to the grocery store on Sunday. So I can confirm what you're saying.
Nice. The thing I love about California is it's so close to America.
I'm so close.
It's really close. That's really awesome. Yeah. Nevada's right there, dude. You can drive there.
If I go up on like a really big hill, I can see the United States. Feels good.
Nice. Yeah. Feels good. Beckoning you home to freedom.
Exactly. So I saw recently that Xi Jinping made a comment about how Taiwan will absolutely be reunified in 2024. Part of me thinks knows he's bucking the horse, so to speak, here in the United States. And, part of me is like, maybe he's not fibbing. Maybe we should take him at his word. I don't know. Kind of wonder what you think, man.
You always have to ask the question, is it saber rattling? China loves to rattle sabers, and they love to say stuff. President Biden left Xi Jinping's side less than like 24 hours before that quote. Like he was gone, not even for a day. They just got out of a big summit, and Xi Jinping felt empowered to walk out in front of the world and be like, oh no, yeah, we're totally going to have a resolution with China this year. That's totally happening. Right. So not a good look for the deterrence of this president. That isn't what would happen with a strong leader. You would not say that as a foreign leader, you would not walk out of, a sit down really with anybody, any previous president you want to put in there. And I'll let you pick whoever. You do not walk out of a meeting and then do that on the world stage. Like that is just not a thing that happens. So that's signal number one, that's not a good thing. Now, as far as the concern of, is he serious? Is he saying, hey, get ready for real, get ready? So he's been saying this for years, 2035, he wants full on, he wants everybody to be ready by full on war. 2030, he wants everybody to be ready to go. And he's put out timelines like that before. So who knows if this is it. I will say something that gives it credence is, China's impending economic collapse. It is coming. And the signals, like every single signal over there right now is blinking red for the collapse of China's, first their market of new builds, just entire ghost cities and upended mortgage loans that have just absolutely glutted the economy to a point where it's on its tipping point right now. It's starting to go. But then the impending population collapse too, because there really is a lot of wacky stuff going on behind the curtain over in China. People have not been having as many kids, and they're really starting to feel it. So the only thing, the thing that concerns me is, is this Xi's way of saying like, hey, we have to go now because we basically have one generation, maybe two generations left of fighting males to get to some sort of prosperous area where we can then start growing our population. Like I'd be worried about that too. But again, these are things that are just conjecture, and I don't know if we'll figure them out. What do you think?
To be honest with you, I think it's saber rattling. I think he knows that there's a lot going on in the United States right now. It's pretty evident. Your comment about how he left after 24 hours and said that shit made me think of that scene from Braveheart when he throws his son's boyfriend out the window and he's like, I'm not going to send you because it just would encourage the enemy to take the field. It's kind of that analogizes that pretty well. But I think it's saber rattling. I think, like I said, he's trying to goad people to make unrational decisions here in the United States. The Chinese have a very, very successful social engineering campaign in the U.S. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm getting at. That's why, Taiwan's election year. To be honest, I think that the real strides he will try to make is in the political landscape there in Taiwan with the politicians there. And as much as he talks about war and as much as China is preparing for war, I think he would rather see some sort of political reunification. Without having to go to war with the United States, if Taiwan could vote to kick, all of the U.S. influence out of there or something like that, I think that's what he'd rather see. But at the same time, it's one of these things where a lot of people didn't think Putin was going to walk into Ukraine again a couple of years ago, and he did. And I mean, I'll admit, I was one of those people that was Zach's head got too hot. There it is.
Oh man, I don't know how, but you look even creepier. Longest. Yeah, you really did last the longest. You look creepier now in some way,
dude. Yeah. The T-shirt. It's like a cancer workout video.
Cancer George Washington or something.
Oh man, terrible.
You gonna take out your false teeth now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But no, I don't think it's happening in 2024. But I also don't think Xi Jinping is afraid to go to war with the United States completely. I think he would if it came to it. So
that's interesting. That's interesting. I don't know.
No.
I don't know. I don't know if he would. I don't think he wants to get into mutually assured destruction. He knows that we are spread thin, and he is an adept political player. I don't know if he wants to get into a shooting war, especially with, his Navy is probably his biggest asset that he has, and he would have to spend a lot of it with the blockade to Taiwan, which is how this stuff would probably start off if I was guessing. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he wants to go in a shooting war. And like we thought Russia was much more advanced than Russia has shown itself to be. So maybe our intelligence community didn't nail that one down correctly either. Time will, I guess, tell. But
the problem with China's Navy is that it's majorly what they call a green water Navy. It's pretty much just like a coastal defense force.
Okay.
I do think the U.S. Navy and all of our air assets would have, a heyday, and I don't want to overstate it, but I do think that the Chinese Navy doesn't have the capabilities to, especially with, the British and the French and the Australians that are in the area as well. So
for sure.
But it's like that old analogy about like the corner dog kind of thing. When you talk about the collapse, the corner dog bites the hardest. There's nothing left for it to lose. And there's a lot of ways that you could say that China is that getting to that point.
Yeah, for sure. And that sort of stuff, like there's always like, how volatile is this leader? What sort of things are they responding to that they might be trying to do for their own self-interest and all kinds of other stuff. So it's definitely a wild time, man. Like 2024, I can't believe I'm saying this for like the fourth year in a row, but 2024 is going to be just rowdy. Oh, what's up? He's got his regular clothes on.
Yeah.
Good job.
I'm
disappointed you turned your camera off for that.
I'm disappointed you turned your camera off.
I was thinking of the viewers.
I don't know. What do you think, Zach?
About China getting crazy?
Oh, were you?
I think they're just always crazy. And I agree with both of you. They're just kind of posturing up. They're testing the waters. They're asserting their dominance on the global stage after speaking with the U.S. president. But China invading Taiwan with actual military force is the end of Xi Jinping. Like, he knows this. I don't think he would last much longer after that began. So I do think that he wants to try to reunify or just keep it as a main talking point to go on forever. It could just be a thing that every year he just brings up to just keep having a reason to be in the forefront of the global stage. It could be like 15, 20 years from now, he'll still be like, oh, we're going to take Taiwan. It's like, we'll just do it if you're going to do it. So that's what I think.
Yeah, geez. This is in your 100-year plan. It's year 80. What happened?
Yeah, speed it up.
There's still 20 years left.
Yeah. Wrap it
Zach,
up.
Are you saying that you think you say he's like the end of Xi Jinping, that there would be some sort of like Valkyrie moment but it would be successful? Is that what you're getting at?
Like, what do you mean? I don't understand what you're saying to me.
Like how the attempt to take out Hitler failed.
Hilarious. I love that reference, that the fact that it just hit Zach like a ton of bricks. He was like, wait, hold on now.
It's because he took the wig off.
Yeah, I lost all my wisdom.
It's like Samson with his hair. No. I was saying is like the Operation Valkyrie was one of the attempts to take Hitler's life by some of his leadership. And so my question to you is that what you were getting at when you said at the end of Xi Jinping, you think there'd be some sort of coup or?
It could be anything. He invades Taiwan, he's going to ICBM from somewhere. Like, something's coming and blowing him up, or something's happening, or it doesn't have to be the United States even. That war, that chaos that's happening, I feel like Japan, Taiwan, someone in the region, or even his own government, like you were saying, like a Valkyrie incident, someone, like, he's going to die. He doesn't leave office.
Your old standby North Korea?
Yeah, he doesn't leave office, I guess, alive. He either dies in office or he dies. It's the only option, I feel like.
I think that's a fair argument, because if that happened, then it would most likely be for real World War III. Yeah. And look at the last dictator that did something crazy like that, right? If Hitler did indeed die and didn't go to Venezuela, Argentina, wherever the fuck everybody says he went to.
Think who's the last communist leader or like dictator or totalitarian leader who left their like power position and continued on in their life like a retirement? Zero.
Nobody.
His only way out is death.
Had a taste of that power.
Yeah.
Gaddafi? Nope.
Yeah, right.
His only way out is death.
Like a dog in the street.
He was crying.
Like a dog. Yeah, I don't know. He was crying like a dog. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's such an interesting thing to kind of explore too. And the other thing that you got to think about is like the most likely scenario is that, China through Xi marches into some war or into some, even sort of conflict. And with the impending collapse of the economy, like China can't produce enough for the war machine that it actually needs for sustained operations. That sort of impact that it would have on the rank and file. That's the one thing that we really don't know is like, what is, when they're not being watched 24 hours a day, when they don't have a social credit score, how does the populace really feel about communist China right now?
Oh, there's a civil war.
Once they start getting a little peek outside the curtain and they're like, hold on, wait a second. They can do all this stuff. We could be as prosperous and we're just not because we're giving all of our money. Like, that's what you got to worry about. You got to worry about the biggest standing population on the face of the planet fracturing.
That's like the reference I gave. I still don't remember who it was, but that Russian diplomat that visited the United States and went to a grocery store and saw just everybody had a cart full of groceries and knew immediately that the USSR could not compete with the United States. And there's plenty of things in places in China that are very first world and have all kinds of amazing tech and all that stuff. But those are just the cities, man. Those are like there's like Beijing, this Hong Kong, these places. The majority, I was just reading, 43% UN estimates, 43% of China does not have drinkable water. I don't know what the numbers are for the United States. And I pulled it up here. This is a UN website. United Nations Development Program, 43%. I don't know what it is in the United States, but I'm pretty sure it's not nearly fucking half of the people in our country.
Even Flint, Michigan's not that low. Flint, Michigan itself is probably higher than that.
Yeah. If you can't stay hydrated out in the field, like what are you doing? That's it.
Right.
You're gonna get a cramp. Sorry,
no, not today.
Can't
could never be
anymore.
No, sorry, Sarge. Could never be me. Don't know what that's like.
Not with hoist, right?
Hey, use code one's ready over. Check it out. 110% better than water. IV level hydration. What up, dude?
I just lobbed it up there and you smacked it out of the park, dude.
Had to knock it out of the park, my homie. Use code one's ready at checkout. Get yourself a sweet deal. Try them packets out.
That's right. Hell yeah. No. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think that there's a lot of wait and see that they're gonna do with see who gets elected the president of the United States. And if it's Trump, we'll be back to blowing up Iranian generals and scare the shit out of everybody else. And I'll sleep a little easier, I suppose. But there's a lot of shenanigans. Hey man. Dude, it's when you were talking about it, Aaron, just a minute ago, the first thing that came to my mind was the fact that Stalin killed everybody around him that was going to tell him something other than yes. And I have a feeling there's a pretty similar situation going on over there in China.
I think so. I mean, that's the way that they've operated for, I don't know, dynasty after dynasty. One of the biggest things that I've seen, and when it's one of those things where once you're made aware of it, you can never not see it. Like you can never unsee it or stop noticing it.
Yeah.
Two of those things stuck out to me recently, but it's like, number one, it's the whole Middle East, Palestine, Israel, Hamas conflict that's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
People will argue on behalf of somebody because they think that they have the same morals and the same values. They're like, oh, they're just like us. Like when people look at atrocities with children and women, they put themselves in that position and they go, well, what would it take for me to commit this atrocity? Oh no, they had to have been maligned in some way or another. Dude,
Yeah.
that emotivism is something that is just so unhelpful. Like to look at a situation and think that everybody thinks and values and cherishes the same things that you do, and they think the same way you do, and they see things, everything the same as you do. What a terrible place to start, because then you just start making terrible assumptions and going towards emotivism, and it's the least efficient way to talk about these things, but we do it so much. Like we all do it.
It's exactly the reason why Europe has all these issues with immigrants. And my time when I was there in Germany working with Polizei, some of the most violent shit we went to as law enforcement were with immigrants. And these were people that are from like Syria or some of these other countries in the Middle East. And they were just fucking shit up for no reason other than they just did not like being in Europe and like Europeans, and specifically the Germans they were around. And I don't remember if I've told this story before, but the German government in Kaiserslautern paid all this money to give a lot of these immigrants that Merkel put in their city these bicycles so that they could get around the city, get jobs and all this stuff. And there's a really, really old, like, I guess you could call it like a Capitol building there in K-Town. And these immigrants had a protest where they took all these bicycles that they were given for free and wrapped them around the building basically, and created all these issues of getting in and out of it, like chain them together and all this shit in protest, because they did not like that the bikes were not like top of the line, like mountain bikes sort of thing. And they
Beggars
were just
can't be
like,
choosers.
beat. Well, sure.
No, in fact, they can.
They can, and it happens all the time. But that's what I'm getting at it sounds fucked up to say, but when you invite the third world in, you get the third world. And to relate yourself, like you said, and put yourself in their shoes, if people have the same morals and values, we just don't. And I get it, we're all human beings, but it's not the same, and you have to be ready for that. And you shouldn't believe that everybody is going to come in and want to contribute the way you have or your ancestors have. We have a country, and it's okay to be weary about these things.
Right. Well, you even include a little bit of logic into today's scenario, because, people will be like, well, between 1890 and 1960, we allowed, 12 million people in and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, hold on. So first of all, we've allowed like 8 million people in just in this last administration alone. We had 300,000 border run-ins this month.
Yeah.
Well, in December of 2023, right? 300,000 encounters at the border. That's a record high. It's never been that high before in the history of the planet. So, people are like, well, between 1890 and 1960, we had like 12 million, whatever. I'm like, okay, you're purposely applying a context that does not exist to today's scenario. That was a time of immigration from Europe, from world wars. Those were families that were coming to America, hopefully to assimilate and immigrate the correct way and then become part of our culture and really live on as Americans. You were talking now about 70% of the people that cross the border are military fighting age males, not from the country from which they're like actually seeking asylum. So they're not from Mexico. They're from Guyana. They're from Syria. They're from Algeria. They're from Nigeria. They're from Somalia. They're from far-flung places that we have not vetted. And we have not talked to them for a second. And they know if they just hit the border, they're going to get a bus ride and a cell phone to the interior of the country. And they're going to wind up somewhere. But then suddenly, if you bring these facts up and you're like, listen, no, I'm not against immigration. Immigration is what makes America great.
Yeah.
You need to close the border down. You need to vet everybody so that we know who is coming in and what they're doing. And we need to stop the flow of fentanyl at the border. The government's only supposed to do 3 things. And one of them is secure the border. So if there's ever a reason to say that somebody is not fulfilling their duty and dereliction of duty falls in the high crimes and misdemeanors impeachment realm, I would say that right now we're not protecting our border. And you can't have it both ways. When I see the left go, oh, stop it, the border is not open. And then I point to people flooding across the border. They're like, oh, well, it's a Republican problem. This started like a long time ago when they got defunded. Like, bro, is that your answer? Is that you're blaming Trump? You've been in power for 3 years. you've got the presidency, you've got one of the houses. Like, you're good. You should be passing laws.
I remember
and
during the
you
Trump
doing
presidency when
whatever.
everyone was freaking out about like the kids in cages and stuff, and then it came out later like, oh, these photos are from the Obama administration, and those cages were built in the Obama administration. It's like, oh my god! Or
I was just going to say,
most of the
man,
rules
the same
and
people
laws that
bitching
he's
right
enforcing is from the Obama administration. It's like, okay,
right. All these people bitching right now are the same people that were bitching at Obama for being too much with his policies.
Right. Yep.
So it's, again, you can't have it one way and not the other. So, but it made me, part of what you said made me think of the conversation we had with Vince Vargas, Zach, where we were talking about how these aren't the same people that were showing up to Ellis Island at the beginning of the 20th century.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me think too, just from yesterday, that Boston City Councilor Tanya Fernandez Anderson, who stood up there with all the rest of the city councilmen and refused to put her hand up and did not even recite the oath of office, which refers to the Constitution and upholding the oath. And she did it on purpose, but she's an immigrant to our country, which again, I'm fine with. But at the same time, you came to this country, you should be upholding the Constitution and take that oath to represent the people of this country. And that's the beauty of the Constitution. You don't have to completely agree with it. That's the whole point. You can uphold it, and you're upholding that value of not agreeing with it completely. There's that dichotomy that you're allowed to have. But, I just quantifying what you said, Aaron, man, it's just a perfect recent example from literally yesterday of that.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there's too many of them floating around. It's people have kind of forgotten. I'll tell you, I'll give credit where it's due, man. And this is, I never believed that I would ever say this.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to watch a real time move, somebody that, no kidding, had a brain injury and the brain injury woke him up from being a Democrat, watch what's happening with Fetterman in Pennsylvania.
I knew you were going to say that.
The guy over the last 2 weeks has started to make a lot of sense. He's like, hey guys, you know where we should focus? On our local towns and communities, and we should put those first, almost like America comes before other places, and that makes everything else better. And everybody's like, whoa, John. And then he's talking about wanting to shut, a Chinese company wanting to shut a factory down. He's like, no, I'm vetoing it. This is America. You don't get to buy this stuff here. And everybody's shocked because Fetterman, who has a legitimate brain injury, he's got an anoxic brain injury from his stroke.
Yeah.
Has essentially started coming to, and he's like, oh, hold on. It turns out I'm conservative. It turns out I'm a moderate. Shit. And I didn't need to worry about all this. Watching his transformation, and it's funny that kind of links back to what we were talking to right when we opened up. But, as you grow up and as you look at these things, you look at, it's even in the name, right? Like conservative and progressive. Like, if you're progressive, you don't want to do things the way that we've done them. You want to lay those down and go on with other things. And sometimes you have to rip and burn those structures to the ground to be a progressive. I'm not about that. I'm about conserving individual freedoms, rights, and responsibilities. Big R rights. I want individuals to have rights, responsibilities, and privileges inside of these United States of America. I want a government small enough to fit inside of the Constitution. And I want a neighbor that I can trust with my life or my crop. That's basically it. If you give people that, that's what America is great, what it's built on. And it's crazy watching people sort of lose their way, but you're starting to see it a little bit more. We talked about that pendulum swing. Now, I'll wear a questionable shirt, out to the gym or something, and somebody will look at it and I'll get 3 or 4 hell yeah brothers, where, 6 months ago, I'd only get one, but now I've got a shirt that has President Trump on the back. It says "Wanted for President." It's a fire shirt. I got it at a great bar. Yeah, I got it at a right wing bar I didn't even know I was in back in the day down in Texas. It was hilarious. But anyway, I'll wear it, and now I'm getting 3 or 4. They're like, hell yeah, brother, he's gonna make it again. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, let's go.
In Washington, that's awesome.
I'm telling you, it's starting to catch on. Gas finally is under $5 a gallon. It's only $4.50 a gallon now.
Crazy.
It'll still be way up there because that's how Washington State is, but not my problem for very much longer. So
I feel you. Yeah.
How much is gas a gallon in California?
Outside of the United States? So I just filled up yesterday on base. It was $4.88.
Was that for like 87 octane? Like not even premium?
Oh yeah. 100%.
Oh yeah. I was getting the minivan filled up, homie.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm not filling up the Supra, my guy. Take it easy, Paul Walker.
I don't have a Raptor. I'm not cool like you, dude.
The Raptor takes premium only. So
do you like the Raptor? I'm not even joking. This isn't even a setup for a joke. Do you?
I love it. I have the I don't know if you listened to our previous episode. I have the first gen Raptor, 2014, the 6.2 liter V8.
Okay.
And so I got the last year of it. And actually today, I didn't know Ford did this. So I'm the second owner of my Raptor. It falls under like special vehicle team. I came home today and there's a package from Ford Performance. And in there, it had like a certificate of authenticity for my Raptor with a VIN. It told me when it was made, like what number it is of what. And then they gave me the like the window sticker printout, like a brand new one. And then a letter that said like, thanks for your purchase. We hope it even acknowledged that I bought the car used and that I was the second owner. And they said, we hope that it brings you hundreds of thousands of miles of fun. They just sent that to me.
Whoa. What's up, Ford?
Damn, exactly. Okay, Ford, you're out here doing it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I see you.
I tell you what, I recognize when you have good customer service practices. Good job, Ford.
Yeah, I looked it up, and I like other people. Other people got it too, and it's only for their special vehicles. So if you get like any Raptor variant, or like their higher Mustang variants and stuff, they'll send you that. And even if you buy it used, apparently they have some connection to like the DMV system, so they know when their special vehicles are sold again or re-registered, and they'll just send you a thing in the mail.
I'm here for it. Yeah. I approve.
Yeah.
It's going up in my garage.
Not much of a car guy, but I do definitely, I like, customer sales service when I know it,
Don't make mistakes about talking about Tacomas having diesel versions because Zach will correct you live on the air.
Why would I ever do that? Dude, I don't even know what a liter is. He was like, it's a liter engine, something, eight cylinder. It's got 7.5 cylinders and it goes really fast. I don't know any of that.
7.5 cylinders doesn't make any sense. It wouldn't work. It's not.
See? Why not?
You can't have half a cylinder. There has to be an intake and an exhaust.
Why not, you dumb bastard?
I know.
No, it'd just be half as big as another one.
A half a cylinder is still a cylinder, right?
Yeah, no, I'm right on this one.
If I go cut a Campbell's soup can in half, it's a cylinder. It's still a cylinder.
Oh, wow. Look,
how about that?
Somebody went to big brain school and somebody didn't.
Changes between,
I didn't need my tricorn hat on for that.
Both of these things could be right, as Aaron Love would say.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Way to bring it back.
An illustration of the light with the triangle and the rectangle and the the cylinder. Exactly.
I do like that. Yeah, I like that.
You probably could make a half cylinder engine. Would it be efficient in any single way for the manufacturer? Probably not. So it's never going to be made.
Okay. All right.
Somebody's going to do it. I'm
not with that attitude. To be honest,
I hope they make it, and I hope they make it water powered, so the government kills them.
That's definitely gonna happen. Somebody out there right now is like, "Oh my god, I can finally build my 6.5 liter Mustang. It's gonna be so much faster than all those 6 liter Mustangs.
It's gonna be half a liter faster.
It's gonna be half a liter faster. Somebody convert liters into freedom units for me. That's 7 miles per hour, sir. At which gear? Don't worry about it."
Good thing Ford didn't have that can't do attitude. Otherwise, Zach would have never got his customer service package in the mail.
It's true.
Yeah. You'd be an American.
That's right.
I'm an American.
Instead, you're an American and a Raptor.
That's right. Trump's got your body tied up to the back of his fucking tank, dragging you along in the video. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, well, my Raptor's pulling his tank out of the bog, so.
No, it's not.
Okay. I don't think so.
You know how heavy that tank is?
It's got a half cylinder more than your Raptor.
It does, yeah. You're going to need that 6.5 cylinder Mustang. It's got low end torque. It'll rip the wheels off a house.
The tank's probably got 2 Cummins engines in it, so. Which the Toyota Tacoma does not have.
You did a mockingbird?
You did a mockingbird? All the way back.
You did a mockingbird?
Yeah, I don't know shit about cars either. I just know that my car gets me from home to work to the grocery store on Sundays with all of Aaron's fans. That's what happens.
Brandon doesn't know this, but when I get to when I leave America and go to his communist country with him here in a couple months, we're gonna start modifying his 4Runner a whole bunch. He's just gonna come out to his house, come out to his car one day, and it's gonna be like lifted on 37s, like a snorkel. It's gonna be ridiculous.
Gonna have a tent.
Yep.
Yeah, you'll be like, wow, I can stand up in the back and I can even take my pants off. It's a tent now.
Hell yeah. Wouldn't be the first time.
And then Brand's gonna look at his wife and be like, this is pretty cool. And then she's like, yeah, we have severe credit card debt, but it's pretty sick.
Apparently it's worth it for that half a cylinder more.
It is.
Hey, I'll get you up any hill you want.
Patent
yeah, that's right. I don't think Aaron
cylinder engines.
Air Force has decided to move Zach outside the United States.
Yep.
Why?
Gets to leave his special duty and move to a special
duty
place.
Time is over. They gave me 5 options.
Gross.
Okay, they gave me Beale Air Force Base, California.
They weren't good.
Minot, North Dakota. Maelstrom, Montana. Whiteman. I can't remember what state that's in. And then Laughlin, Texas.
Missouri.
So it was either 3
Who did you make mad, bro? What happened?
Everyone, apparently.
Yeah, it was either 3 nuke bases or die to the Mexican cartel or leave the United States of America. So I chose leave the United States of America.
Beale. Beautiful.
Yep.
Sacktown ain't that far away. It's gorgeous, Northern California. Meth is cheap.
Hell yeah.
It's true. I live here.
Just go to Bacaville. You can pick that up wherever you want.
You can. Doesn't matter. I mean, you could get it wherever you want to live there, you know? I live not that far
right
from
over to San Jose.
Mm-hmm. Zach's probably going to spend a lot of time in San Francisco.
Why would I go there?
Dude, you don't think you could pay me to go to San Francisco unless it had some serious zeros after it? Not anymore. So, I just don't like getting poo on my shoe.
My wife was like, I want to go visit San Francisco. So she did like one time. And that one time visiting San Francisco, she's like, no, I don't ever need to go there again. It was pretty scary and dingy, and I'm good. It's like, all right, cool.
It's pretty bad when your Japanese wife doesn't want to go to San Francisco.
It's sketch, dude.
She knows what's
we went down there. I saw Hamilton, a live performance of Hamilton down there, and it was super bad.
Was Lin-Manuel Miranda in it?
It was not the Broadway cast. No, it was the off-Broadway, the touring guys. Yeah, but it was man, it was rowdy. It was a rowdy experience down in San Francisco. I've been there once since, and let me tell you, not impressed. Not cool, man.
No, it isn't, man. And it's kind of a shame because like all of my in-laws grew up here, and they'll sit there and tell you all these cool sounding stories, and it's like, well, unless you got hobo stab insurance or want to get fucking, step on a syringe on the sidewalk, there's no reason to go down there.
Stab insurance.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Walt Whitman, and I'll be selling you hobo stab insurance.
Exactly. That's a thing.
Have you been permanently handicapped by a jetty? Contact me, Bob Goldstein.
Nah.
I stand corrected.
Well, what is
half-cylinder engines actually do exist. They only exist.
Look at you. Look at you.
Exist
wrong.
On odd cylinder engines, so you can't have like a
what I say
3.5, 7.5, but you can't have an 8.5.
I never said that. I said 7.5.
He did say an odd number.
You did.
Run the tape back.
I'm gonna clip this.
Industry has not.
Aaron, a non-car guy, proves Zach and his mustache wrong.
Yeah, take that. Odd cylinders for life, baby. Give me a 3.5 cylinder.
It's usually
so we should call the name of this episode.
Motorcycles.
3.5 cylinders?
Yeah, or an extra cylinder of knowledge.
That's only a half. Don't give me too much.
Half cylinder. Yeah. True.
A half cylinder of knowledge.
Yeah.
That's it. You have to get an hour and 22 minutes into this episode to understand why it's called that. But that's it.
To understand, that's the inside. Yeah. The inside joke doesn't happen until well after an hour, gents. So
that's how I get my listenership up. That's how I get my listenership up.
Gotta get the analytics popping, bro.
That's right. That sounds like something you'd find in like a K ration. Half a cylinder of knowledge.
That's gonna be the title. I'm texting to you right now, Brandon, so I remember forever.
I won't forget.
That's how you know you made it.
Dude, when are you moving back to the United States, Aaron?
Very, very soon. Very soon. Yeah. So next couple of months. I'm not going to put it out there because people on the internet are weird, but I am making a move to the Southwest. So I'll be there before it heats up for the summer. And then hopefully I'll be there for quite a long time. So I'm excited about it.
That's awesome. I've always wanted to move to the Southwest. For something, it's not even just like the fact that Tombstone's a great movie. Because it is, and I would.
Because it is. Thanks.
It is. It's an amazing movie. I know you like that movie, but it's just something about that part of the country that just makes me want to walk off into the sunset and not come back and be a homesteader.
Yeah, dude. I mean, so the Northeast, the Northwest, some areas of the United States, they seem claustrophobic, right? Like the trees are too tall, you can't see past them. You get on certain hills and stuff, and you can only see really as far as your immediate area.
Yeah,
man. When you're driving anywhere in Tucson, Albuquerque, Santa Fe, West Texas, even San Antonio, some of those areas in the Southwest, Vegas, you can look out and you can see for miles, and the world feels huge, and it's a bright blue. And yeah, it's hot, but it's not too bad. Everybody has their air conditioning figured out. Man, I grew to love the Southwest. I lived in, Vegas and then Albuquerque. So for a period of, almost 8 years, I lived there. And I'll tell you what, I'm not screwing around with the East. It's too populated. There's too many people over there. The cities are too wacky. Like, there's too much stuff constantly going on. Give me some space out West. Like, everything moves a little bit slower. I'm cool with it. Like, the heat never bothers me. I'd rather it be hot all the time than deal with hurricanes and floods and all kinds of other whack shit. So yeah, man, Southwest is where it's at.
Yeah. No, I would move there. I'd have to convince my wife to move there. That would be the only problem.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it gets easier when you don't have a whole lot, you don't have bugs, you don't have a lot of stuff, to contend with. And basically, if you pick the right spot, like the place we're moving to it's a brand new build. We're the first people to own the house. It's out on a growing reservation that did not exist, 10 years ago. This little area that we're living in wasn't even a thing, but they kind of moved the infrastructure a little bit further out. So it's got a grocery store, it's got a gym, it's got this, it's got that. And suddenly you have a little ready-made little community that butts right up to the mountains. And I'm just like, yeah, I'd like to do this, please. It's not too bad, brother. It's not too bad. So, and then we'll post up there until we're looking for the big house. But I think what we'll try to do is we'll try to be really smart about investments and then look for the big forever home that's more compound-like in the same area.
I think you might need it whenever the time for that rolls around.
I think so. The compound is the way to go, though. You ever fuck around and catch me winning, $1 billion, 900 million, even if I have to give the government 400, which is nonsense, I walk away with 500 million. If you think I'm not building a huge compound, and here's the idea, I'm going to put it out there. This is my intellectual property, but I'm going to put it out there anyway. You have a compound. You've got your house, Zach. You've got your house, Brandon. I've got my house. But there's actually 4 houses on the property. There's one house that's in the middle, and that's the Kick It house. If we're having family dinners, we go down to the Kick It house. We have that bad boy clean and have that boy stocked with food. If little kids have birthday parties, you need the Kick It house, put it on the Kick It house calendar and whatever. If everybody just wants to kick it, hey, what are you doing? Nothing. Meet me down at the Kick It house. Let's go have some drinks. You can drink, be away from the family, just chill out, do whatever. And then you use that house as like a common area or a day room. And then you have your own house. It's your own house. And if you want to have people up there, you can.
Dude, that's fucking genius. There's no need to have people over. No need to clean your house to hang out. Dude, your golf carts are a must.
But I have to have zip lines from my house to the
house. If you're building this big compound, right, it's already assumed that you've got fuck you money. So it's not going to cost anything to have it cleaned and have it catered and everything. You just, hey man, this is the house. It has it has everything fully furnished. People can stay over there. Like if people need to sleep there, you're like, yeah man, here you go. Here's the house.
Whole ass house.
Yeah. The dream. I just need $500 million, dog.
Small loan.
You won't know I won the lottery, but there will be signs.
There'd be signs. 100%. You'd be like, did you hear about Aaron's 8-house mansion? Yeah, but I heard he's only living in 7 of them full time. And you'd be like, oh, Aaron did it. He built the Kick It house, guys. I bet everybody's got a golf cart. Oh, God damn it. They've all got golf carts, don't they?
Yep. They're all 9.5 cylinder.
Yeah. 9. No. Yeah. Well, they can be 9.5, but that's too big for a golf cart. Grow up.
It can because it's odd. It's an odd number.
Yeah. It's a 1.5 for a golf cart. Okay. It's electric. It's
my
hybrid.
Bad. Be realistic.
We can't go that. Sorry.
Be realistic, motherfucker. You didn't even know half cylinders existed 5 seconds ago.
I know, right?
5 seconds ago, this guy was talking about there's no such thing as half cylinder. Oh, you did a mockingbird.
Maybe you should put your wig back on, dude.
You were smart when you had that wig on.
You were.
I also wasn't talking much. I was listening.
Correlation.
Worried about all the sweat rolling down his fucking temple.
Right to my butt crack.
Makes you wonder how all those British judges sit in those chambers for fucking hours and deliberate.
Oh, terrible. I'm glad they fell. I'm glad that we overtook them.
Same. I saw a meme the other day. It said, I heard a British person call Oreos chocolate sandwich cookies, and I knew immediately why the Revolutionary War had to happen.
Had to happen. Sorry, you got to go, dog. That's not any of those things that you just said.
Let me just get my flintlock pistol ready, musket wadding.
I'm going directly to a hatchet. I'm just away. I'm just bashing that guy to death.
Bloody that
chocolate
hatchet.
Biscuit.
I'm killing him with an Oreo.
Fuck you. That doesn't sound like too bad way to go, man.
Now listen.
Oreos are my shit.
As the way, yeah.
Milk's favorite cookie.
What are Aaron's main concerns for United States in the coming few years?
Oh, man, information warfare, right? Like we've talked about it, we've alluded to it this whole time. If you don't know where to look for truth, like you have to have some sort of truth that you can trust, and that we can come to a middle ground on to even start a conversation. I think as we start looking at, ways to deny people information, misinformation goes around the world twice before the actual story gets out of the closet, so to speak. So, it worries me that we're just going to get to this thing where, we're both in entrenched positions and we're just like source. Well, that source sucks. Well, your source sucks. Well, your source is dumb. Your source is dumb. And then we don't believe anything. And then here we are like, okay, well, what do we do? Because if we can't agree on at least that there is a truth that, 2 + 2 is not 5, it's 4. I'm sorry if you think that's racist or bigoted or somehow white supremacist, but 2 + 2 = 4. And coming up with some sort of way to explain that away is not productive for society. That's not a way that we actually go forward in the future. So, and I think the more Orwellian that we get, the more wacky that we get with being willing to define terms for whatever we want them to be. You say things now and it's not what even the word means. It's what we've taken it to mean to the 10th degree and perverted it to be some sort of thing so that, God forbid you slip up and call a he, a him, a they, a them, a whatever it is. And you didn't mean any malice by it, but now just you're done. Yeah. Like it's a thing that we've attached all this meaning to. That's not how it should be. When we start just picking apart each other's semantics and trying to dunk on each other in real life, that doesn't get us anywhere. It's not the way to go. So I think probably number one would really be, the misinformation, because the second that we, stop finding a way to have discourse, and the second that we stop caring what the real truth is, and both sides have a problem with this, the second that we stop pretending like we're completely infallible, the other guy is the worst, and they're the end of democracy, and it's going to be the end of the world unless we vote for our guy. And if our guy wins, then we won. But if the other guy wins and they cheated, like that's not a place to be. We can't be there. It's not healthy. So, protecting those avenues of truth and being able to speak truth in a real and unfettered way, as the First Amendment protects and provides. And that's like number one. And then number two is kind of just getting to a place where we can all realize, like, stop fighting for table scraps and flip this table over. Like the whole world seems to be okay with a 79-year-old and 81-year-old dude that should have been retired long ago. Yeah. The fact that the baby boomers are still holding on to power and Gen X isn't fully taking on the power is ridiculous. The fact that we have 80-year-olds running this country on their 15th term of Congress, making $110 million off $170K a year. Get out of here. What are we talking about? You're telling me that's not corrupt? You're telling me that's not obviously corrupt? Yeah. And we should be worrying about this? But we're fighting over these two. Yeah, we're fighting over these two things as if they're the only option out there. Be like, okay, well, what about this? What about no Biden, no Trump? What about term limits? What about, you have to campaign before you're 65? Like, how about that? Like, yeah. And people would, whatever. Like, why are we having the choice between Biden and Trump? They're going to be 85 by the time they get out. Like, what are we talking about? They should be not in politics. I don't even want them driving.
No, dude. And it's so crazy you said that, because there are states that would make you verify that you could do that, get behind the wheel of a vehicle at that age. Why the fuck aren't we doing that for you to run the country? It doesn't make any sense. If you can be too young to be president, you can be too old. And it just makes too much fucking sense.
Yeah. No, I agree. So I'd say that's what worries me the most, because everything else comes out in the wash, man. Like everybody else puts too much, there's always change. And I have a good friend of mine that, he'll come up to me all breathless and be like, oh, did you hear about this thing? And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, what do you think? And I'm like, I don't know. It's like the last 100 things, man. You know how many things were supposed to happen like this Thursday, and the Epstein client list is coming out and it's going to name names, and then it's not going to name names, and it's going to be redacted. And it's really not the piece of information you need to corroborate the other two pieces of information we've already had since 2008. And oh, by the way, why is Ghislaine Maxwell in jail for the people that she provided to the people on this list? Who's John Doe number 17? Like all these things, right? Like are the things that we should be asking. And instead it's just more gaslighting. It's just more taking time away from valuable activities. Like, I don't know, doing anything else. And it's easy to get caught in that cycle though. It's the next thing. It's the big shoe to drop. This is when, the Democrats are guilty of it too. The walls are closing in on Donald Trump. The walls are closing in. We finally got him this time. He likes to grab women by the pussy. We got him this time. And none of that stopped him.
I could care less.
He's a mud monster. He just does not care. It's great.
Swamp Thing.
Just let you grab him. right by the pussy.
What's fucking hilarious is I know every single person in this country has probably said something worse than that too. So
we said worse than it on this podcast.
That's true. We have. That's a good point. I mean, shit, I kind of want to ask Aaron the same question I just asked you on our popcorn podcast, Zach. Might as well just do it.
The one with the old lady?
You know which one. The old lady. No. I'll just get to it. All right, Aaron, this is a would you rather. Okay. Would you rather sleep with a extremely passable trans woman or sleep with a very unwashed, it's been months since the last river bath, 14th century maiden? Very unclean.
How old is the maiden?
Obviously of age. 21. Okay. Let's go there. You know.
I'm going with the maiden.
That's what I said. Zach, I'm going to tell you right now. It took a few seconds.
Because I'm straight.
Right. Took a few seconds.
Conclusion. I had more questions, though.
There was a little bit more deliberation, though.
Yeah.
It was a little weird. I told my wife asked me that question, and I was like, well, that's pretty cool. You know, that's an interesting one. I said I was hitting it like the U.S. hit Hiroshima. That's what I'm doing. That's how fast that answer came out of my mouth. That's what's going on. Yeah.
That's good. And then you've been sleeping on the couch ever since because you can't say that in front of your wife, dog, you idiot. What are you doing?
Well, you can sleep in the Forerunner soon because it's going to have a full tent.
That's right. Or I could one day maybe sleep in the Kick It house, you know?
See, the Kick It house is the way to go.
Or you can come on by Suites.
Imagine going on your own couch. No. You got to go to the Kick It house and to your own bed. You kicked me into my own room.
Aaron and all of his boys are just going to get in trouble on purpose every once in a while just so they could get banished to the Kick It house and have the best night ever.
It'll be like sleepover old school. We'll have pizza and Mountain
Super Dew. Super Nintendo.
Just giggling like
yeah.
The wives come down there super mad with the kids. Like, what are you guys doing? This looks like
Hiroshima.
This looks like a sleepover.
No, we're all talking about our feelings. We all know we're very, very bad husbands.
We're all very bad. We aren't going to come together until tomorrow night after the 10 o'clock game and the 1 o'clock game.
Browns by 1 million, right?
Browns by a fucking billion.
That's right. It makes me think of that that episode that you and Trent did on One's Ready. I thought was really, really good. The one I wrote you about. But you guys were talking about that incident at the fucking Canadian border with the car that went through and how it was like 5 different things in like 4 hours.
Right away.
That was crazy, man.
Right away. It was,
yeah.
Right away. It was, hey, this is a terrorist attack. And you were like, wait a second. How do we know that? And then there was the thing that I knew almost immediately that I was just like, I'm not touching this one. I'm not touching this one with the 10-foot pole because it already looks like clown shoes. But it was when maybe 10 minutes after I saw the first report, I was like, no fucking way. And immediately I was like, well, which way is it going? Is it going into America? Is it going into Canada? Because that changes everything up. And I'm like, okay, so which way was it going? Well, they were like, yeah, it was going out. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
I'm like, Canada is pretty simple to get into. You wouldn't have to worry about getting into it from America. Like, you wouldn't have to come into America to get the supplies ready to go to Canada to do this thing. You would just go to Canada. It's easier to go to Canada.
Too much work. Right.
No, logistically, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So I was like, all right, hold on. Let me just see this. And then just like you said, in the course of 4 hours, it was a terrorist attack. It was an Iranian terrorist attack. It was a terrorist attack. The passport survived. There was a passport that linked it to it. And then, oh, by the way, sorry, it was a rich dude that drove his Bentley too fast and killed his passenger.
Which makes the most sense.
3 or 4 hours, I was like, what the fuck are we doing right now? People were running with the story, and I'm just like,
yeah.
Have you guys learned nothing? Have you guys learned nothing of just waiting? What if you waited 6 hours?
Yeah.
They won't get the clicks.
You're still going to go viral. You're still going to get people looking at your page. What if you just waited?
Dude, that's like one of the things I miss, or I've never lived it, so I can't say I miss, but that like it seems idealistic. Back in the day, we had Walter Cronkite in the evening news. You had to wait all day.
Right there.
Tonight on Nightly News.
Right.
But for real, like you had to wait all day to get his fucking opinion. And by that time, shit's played out. You know, you wouldn't have CNN tweeting a picture of a passport like, hey, fucking smooth brain. You really think it survived that fucking explosion?
Hey, hold on. The only thing stronger than steel beams are passports because they found some of those dudes' passports in 9/11 and those things were pristine. First of all, sweetie, passports are nearly indestructible, as we know. This is time number 2 that we've proven it in your face.
Aaron's dropping knowledge.
There's a half cylinder.
Dude,
there's a half cylinder more.
Unburnable
baby. I got that 3.5 liter.
Yeah. 1.5 liter passport.
1.5 liter passport. That thing, you can't touch that thing. The thing might as well be made out of adamantium.
That's why the U.S. always needs oil.
That's what you should make a ticket house out of, is passports.
To run all our passports.
Oh, my bad. Let's get out of here. Yeah, but to watch that evolve and change, I'm just like, holy cow, man! Like, just wait on it. Like, so much, and it changes for the good and for the bad in such wild ways that you'd never be able to predict. It's like a Simpsons episode or a Family Guy episode where they start off doing one thing, and then by the end of it, it's a completely different episode, and you're like, what is happening? What are we even doing right now? Like, there's no through lot. You're just like, why am I on an airplane with 4 of my best friends and the Kool-Aid Man? And you're just like, here it goes again. And
blows to the side of the plane.
But yeah, there's no way that you could have a good take on it in the early parts of it anyway. Like, you watch October 7th started kicking off, and my phone was just blowing up. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? And then as you watch that day unfold, you're like, it would change by the minute. It would change by the post. I would see another post and I'm like, oh my God, is this right? Is this right? Is this wrong? Is this right? Is this a crisis actor? Like, is this a false flag? Actors. Like, what is it?
That is the weirdest thing in the world.
Yeah, it's a tough world to live in. And especially like the number one thing that does give me pause is there's the distinct possibility, people throw it around as a conspiracy theory, but there's a possibility that sometime in this year, the world could devolve to a point where the government goes, okay, well, I don't think voting is right, guys. I think we're going to wait on this election. What? Like, if there was a World War III or there's a reason how this administration could suspend an election and just be like, all right, listen, President Trump, he's got way too many things going on in the courts right now. We got World War III popping off. We don't have time for election, everybody.
We need continuity. I mean, I could see someone saying that, and there's like a lining of logic in maintaining leadership for a conflict to where it's like enough to where you could spin it. But at the same time, it's one of those Trojan horses of what other shit is inside the fucking box that you're bringing in the gates here.
We did it 4 times during GWAT, dude.
Yeah.
We had Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden in GWAT. So we did it for 20 years. There's no reason why you can't just hand the keys over. We fought multiple theater wars, with Iraq, Afghanistan, Yemen.
Semen?
Semen. Boy, you pronounce that weird.
Longy. I know.
Yeah, Aaron, you pronounce that weird. Why is your mouth watering? I don't know.
Vivek?
It's one of my favorite vacations.
Zach, put the wig back on.
Yeah, favorite place I've ever been, Semen. The guys there were really nice.
I bet.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man! I almost left a bad taste in my mouth. Anyway, so as we, right, but like that's probably the scariest thing. Like, it's not the most likely thing that I think is going to happen. It's not something that keeps me up at night. But I got to be honest with you, with all the animosity and with the way that things are going, and it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. Like, if you remember back in the day, like you guys remember when Mike Tyson was just doing wild shit. You get face tattoos and you take on wacky fights, and then a crazy training video would come out and you'd be like, oh my God, this guy, yeah, exactly. He's like biting tigers' heads off and shit.
Still wouldn't get in the ring with that dude.
No, absolutely not. He's 52 and I still wouldn't.
Kill me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you'd die. He'd probably just hurt me a little bit, but you'd die.
Even if I had gloves made of passports, I'd probably still lose.
Yeah, those are tough.
He would hurt me, but you would die.
You're a normal human. You'd be dead. You'd punch right through your spine.
He's not wrong.
Bloody glove on the other side. It would be all terrible. It'd be terrible and shit. But there was a time where Mike Tyson was in the news so much for so much wacky shit. Like Dennis Rodman did the same thing for a period. But you would hear a news story and they'd be like, breaking news, Mike Tyson poops on the lawn of the White House while making contact with the president of the United States. He knocked out 9 Secret Service agents and had sex with a dog. Film at 11. And you'd be like, no fucking way. But then you'd be like, wait a second. You'd be like, hold on. It is Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's been crazy. Like, he bit that guy.
That's not out of the realm.
His children. Wait a second. Did Mike Tyson poop on somebody's lawn? And then you'd have to wait to figure it out. But Mike Tyson, that was the Mike Tyson zone. Mike Tyson was in that zone for a couple years where there wasn't enough wild shit you could say that you'd be like, imagine saying the words, I don't think Mike Tyson would do that.
Then you got Dennis Rodman in a wedding dress on the side, just like hyping him
in
up.
North Korea. Yeah, he's got Kim Jong-un just kicking it with his boy in North Korea. Like Dennis Rodman did all of these things. He was in a sex book with Madonna. He took a 72-hour break to go gamble, do drugs, and sleep with Carmen Electra in the middle of a bowl season. That is, dude.
Hot Carmen Electra, like back in the day, Carmen Electra, dude.
Like for
crazy.
For contractual and legal reasons, I'm unable to talk about Carmen Electra and the impact she had on this young boy's life. But what I mean to say is he's in that zone right now. Like there is no wacky scenario that you can come up with in politics right now to be like, that can't happen.
No.
Oh, well, Joe Biden has a stroke. He turns it over to Kamala. The base hates Kamala so much that they parachute in Michelle Obama. Kamala is going to be a high-level secretary. They're going to bring Newsom in as the VP. Is that a wild scenario? Well, yeah. Is it unheard of? No. Can you see it happening now? Yeah. President Trump, they find everything against him unconstitutional. The Biden corruption scandal really breaks, and there's Eric Schwerin testifies and really comes forward and puts the nail in this whole coffin over 5 years. The system itself breaks. Trump gets elected. He's also in jail in Georgia for the document scandal. Does that sound crazy?
You should write for television. Sure. You should write for television.
Here's the problem, bud. People wouldn't believe me.
If the president's in jail, does the Secret Service protect him from the correction officer?
Yep.
They're going to break him out.
If there's anything interesting, if there's ever a rabbit hole that you want to go down that's very, very nerdy, go down, what happens if a prisoner becomes a president? Because it's fascinating. The Secret Service would have to protect him. He'd have to have a secret cell. He'd have to have a freaking way to conduct business on a secret level like TSSCI. He'd have to have all of these things. It's ridiculous.
Could you imagine just some fucking random dude?
Yeah, for sure.
That
people taking your cocktail fruit. I want your cocktail fruit.
We need a movie of that now. Is a Michelle Obama Kamala Harris ticket unbeatable? I want to know.
Absolutely, it is. People hate Harris. Harris is the weekend, not Kamala Harris is awful.
Maybe Oprah.
If Kamala, no, Oprah doesn't want to do it. I'm telling you, I think, and people have said it before. I think it's Michelle Obama, and I said it a long time ago. I think it's Michelle Obama. She's got the name, she's got the pedigree, she's got enough of a political. She had enough first lady political endeavors. People know that you're buying the Obama name and brand. They know that they're buying the same staff. They know what they're buying for that. I think if the left wanted to be smart, they'd run Michelle Obama. And they'd put Newsom in.
Yeah.
As kind of the heir apparent at vice president. And then it looks like they've got this ticket because they can't go backwards. They can't go back to white guy president. Yeah. Now that they've broken that barrier. Now the expectation is that, Biden stays there until Harris is ready to take the throne or whatever. But Harris has underperformed in such a way that the Democrats hate her. Her words sound give the script of her speeches to a 5-year-old that can read, and they'll be like, Daddy, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't. Think about the passage of time. Time, when it passes, is important because the importance of time. What are you? That's a direct quote from Kamala Harris in front of people. What are you talking about?
She always says it really slow.
Right.
And I'm going to say something that's going to blow your mind. And it
takes so long for her
I love
brain
Venn
to read
diagrams.
it.
I love electric buses. And it's not homophobic or racist to have these problems with the vice president. She's terrible. She's the border czar. She's supposed to be the border. She still hasn't been to the border. The president still hasn't been to East Palestine, Ohio. We haven't.
Dude, that one.
We haven't done any of these things that we're supposed to do, and everybody just seems to be okay with it. So
that one has shocked me how quickly that one went away. I'll be real about that. I couldn't believe how the whole East Palestine thing. That no one talks about that anymore. It doesn't make the news. You don't hear anything about it.
Remember Maui? Aren't there still kids missing in Maui?
Thank you.
Isn't that still a thing?
Exactly.
I seem to remember there being a huge fire, one that burned boats in the water 200 meters off the shore. It burned the boats to a crisp, 200 meters off the shore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there were kids missing. And it was this whole thing. Why are we not seeing wall-to-wall? Why are we not seeing wall-to-wall coverage of parents crying about their missing kids? Or why aren't we seeing children that were separated from their parents, the other way? Their parents were killed when they were at home or whatever. Why haven't we seen that? We saw one fundraiser and that was it. And then Maui they were like, hey, no more Maui. That's not the move. Like that thing went away in a week.
Yeah. Well, so they legitimately, the last thing I saw about Maui, the most recent thing I saw was about the fireworks on the island for New Year's Eve.
Yeah, they banned them.
Mm-hmm. So everybody shot a bunch off. Yeah. That's it. You probably, I don't know. I know that Tulsi Gabbard has been pretty quiet, or a little more quiet than I thought she should be about it. I know BJ Penn has tried to be super loud about it. He hasn't. I don't know. He's been shut down pretty hardcore. Unless you go and find his social media, you'll get a bunch of shit. But it's all flagged. It says like, this is conspiracy theory. Fact checkers say this isn't true. This is a campaign to shut him down. And with a following as large as BJ Penn, even before all this shit happened, there's no reason why that shit wouldn't be mainstream unless there was a concerted effort to lock it down.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you way more than I don't. That is for sure. And then just watching it, like there's something to be said for, sometimes you don't know what it is. You look at a story, you look at something and you're like, I don't know what it is, but something isn't right about this. And a lot of times what you'll do is as you're waiting, you're like, oh, this thing doesn't pile up. This thing doesn't stack up. That seems like a dumb thing. Sometimes if you just take a step back, and that's what I did with the Maui fires, I'm like, wow, none of this makes sense. This all seems like lies. There's a ton of information to the contrary about stuff that's coming out. Why didn't the water work? Why didn't the sirens work? Why were you on film saying that you would save water in the event of a fire, and then your subject or your fire didn't have water to it? Like, why was the sheriff of Maui the sheriff of Las Vegas when the shooting happened? Like, that's another thing where you're just like, okay, so you take all those things, you kind of put them in this bucket, and then you're like, all right, well, cool. I just kind of took a step back, and the day that disappeared, I remember it just disappearing from my feeds. And I was like, why aren't we talking about Maui? Like there was no new thing. It was just suddenly on my feeds. It was, nope, we're not talking about Maui anymore. No, they were just some fires. Yeah, it was really sad. Biggest wildfire in American history, $100 million worth of damage. And we just stopped talking about it.
Do you really think the whole directed energy weapon thing is real?
Man, extraordinary.
You got me thinking about it, dude.
Yeah. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. I don't know if I have the proof necessary to say that it is or that it isn't, but I'll tell you what, man, there's a lot of stuff about that fire that does not stack up. Fire crossing an 8-lane highway, not the way that the wind was blowing, but the way that, the direction of travel, essentially, of what that fire was doing. Having some houses burned to the ground and other houses were completely okay.
The blue-roofed houses.
Yeah, and having almost all of there was a dispute going on amongst locals and some other investors in the area, to include Oprah Winfrey and now Mark Zuckerberg, who's building a huge off-limits compound.
Bet it doesn't have a ticket house.
Those houses were just fine, but the houses of the locals that were holding out against all these projects just magically burned to the ground. Like that's again, that's a weird coincidence. And when you have so many coincidences in a row, you can't just shrug your shoulders and be like, well, those are crazy coincidences. At one point, you have to at least admit, be like, all right, yeah, man, that's pretty weird. It's pretty weird that you could have no water anywhere on the island the day beforehand. It's pretty weird that Oprah allegedly hired a personal fire crew the day before the incident. Okay, that's pretty weird that we could verify.
I didn't see that.
Oh yeah,
I have to look that up.
There were multiple different folks on the island.
There was like one house. There's like one house that all the houses around are literally gone, and like one house was still up. And I remember they were trying to say that like, oh, it was like because he painted his house white, it reflected the flames. I was like, what? And then that house was like
his yard is house in War of 1812.
Yeah, and then
it's literally his like rock fence, and then his like everywhere else, green grass is burnt just black as shit.
Yeah,
his grass isn't touched. The wall is fine.
It's like a golf course,
and he's completely engulfed by it. Yeah. I mean, it's like on all sides. We're like, which way did the fire burn? Which way was it blowing? How did it not catch it? Like, he had a trampoline in his backyard. It's fine. It's not singed. It wasn't melted.
He was apparently
just fine.
Higher level official for like the state government or something too. So like people were like, how did every house in your area burn down to a crisp, but not yours? That's really weird.
Well, and then you ask like these high level officials, like the person that was in charge of schools, off island that day, approved leave. The mayor, off island, approved leave. The fire marshal, off island, approved leave. Like you're That's a weird coincidence. That's a super strange coincidence for a fire that was not burning. This all happened in the course of like 8 hours. For a fire that was not burning, you guys were all just magically off island at the same time.
It's kind of like all these politicians and other political figures that weren't in harm's way during 9/11, but could have been and probably should have been, but weren't.
Right.
Smells of that. No, you got Josh Green being the fucking sheriff or whatever. That's his name. That's fucking crazy to me. That's a little weird, man.
Yeah, it's weird. The same sheriff that oversaw and again, that was another thing. And you know, to pull this thing in is, as I look at things and how quickly they disappear, how fast did we get to, well, no motive, crazy. That Vegas shooting was kind of crazy, huh?
Yeah. I think
it happened right away.
Zach has some thoughts on the Vegas shooting.
I do. I don't have time or the mental capacity right now to like dive into that. And I don't want to have this conversation.
We'll do that one again.
Yeah, that needs to be one. I need like a little bit more time, especially to go up against Aaron Love. Because part of me would go up against Aaron Love. I know. So I need
it's going to be me asking you about the Vegas shooting, and I'm excited to do
that
it. We should definitely do
that.
Yeah. We should not wait so long next time for that one.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I think it's a good place to wrap up, to be honest, guys. What do you think?
Yeah, brother. I'm going to grab a snack and get myself together and get ready for this next day, but I appreciate y'all having me on.
100%, man. As always, please like, share, subscribe. Oh, you had on me. Wrap this up with my tricorn hat on. We got to end it the way we started it. Hold on.
Yeah, you got to end it good. It matters how you finish, you know?
Mm-hmm. There we go. Nice. Okay. All right. If you listen to us, please subscribe. Don't be part of the 90% of people that listen and don't hit that subscribe button. It sure means a lot. Head on over to Aaron Loves America Instagram page and check out One's Ready podcast as well. So 2 places you can find Aaron Love. And you guys know some other guests, Trent Siegmiller, Peaches. You guys can find them too. But yeah, appreciate you coming on again, brother. It was nice as always. We'll have you back so you can debate Zach about the Vegas shooting and shut him down because he's wrong. Just gonna say that.
Let's go.
Yeah. There's a half a cylinder more knowledge next time.
It's a half a cylinder, baby. 3.5 cylinder. Woo!
Bye. All right, guys.
All right.
Bye.